tell me when you joined, why you joined. You're our youngest lady here at 51. What did you want more than anything in the world? Why did you join?
I just wanted to be healthy. I have a family history of heart disease that runs very strong. So my father had a heart attack at 50 and a quadruple bypass. My mother had a heart attack at 65. Both my sisters and I, we all have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and I've been on medication. I was on three different blood pressure medications from the time I was 40, and cholesterol medications. And I got blood work done, and my triglycerides are always through the roof, no matter what diet I'm on or anything. But for the first time ever, my liver enzymes were elevated. So that really scared me. And I had been trying a bunch of different things, thought I cooked healthy. I cook a lot. I love to cook, but obviously not doing the right things. And I saw one of your mindsets and joined the free group. And then I got those liver results back, and I'm like, you talk a lot about blood work, and I'm like, what do I have to lose? So I've tried everything else, so I'm going to try this and see what happens.
So glad you did.
Yeah,
and why do you think the fatty liver disease specifically was such a scare for you?
I don't know. I think I was just worried my father was a diabetic, and that maybe I was going into that pre-metabolic syndrome. And I am only 50, and I'm like, I really thought I was being healthy. When I was eating, we don't eat out a lot. I'm not a huge bad eater, so I was cooking a lot, and so I was like, but I was getting more and more unhealthy. So that just really scared me, and I just didn't want to end up like my parents, basically. Yeah. Very scary.
And how did you feel physically, other than wanting to nip it in the bud with the health risks? Did you have problems with your weight or your energy or
Yes. So I have gained 20 pounds over the last 7 years that I just couldn't lose, trying different diets, trying to exercise. Also, I have herniated 2 discs within the last 7 years. So I have a spinal cord stimulator, and sometimes it became difficult for me to exercise. So I was always wanting to lose, those 20 pounds. And in my head, I was like, if I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to be healthy. I was always equating the weight with the health. Yes. But, frustrated by the fact that I couldn't really exercise and couldn't always do the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, I had bulging discs in my lower back, and I know how painful and debilitating it is. So it is a big deal. Yeah. All right. And so what were some of the things you tried? You said you tried, everything before.
Weight Watchers, Noom, Lady Boss, South Beach Diet, shakes. And I always lost some weight. I probably lost like most on like South Beach, was kind of like a keto diet, but then it was like a boomerang effect. So like once I stopped doing South Beach, that's when I gained the most weight that I had ever rebounded before.
That's the problem, right? That's the problem with the diets, is you do it and you do so well, and then you go off it at some point for whatever reason, and the boomerang effect, the rebound weight gain, is almost vicious. Like, it's so out of control and scary, and it stacks back on, and you feel miserable while you're going through it. And you start to feel like, what options are there left for me, Right. And because I was stuck with dieting. I spent decades stuck with dieting and struggling with my weight before I stumbled upon the homemade method system after 10 years of research and healing myself. And I personally lost and maintained over 30 pounds. But before that was my story too, of trying the next thing, and then it would stack back on, and you'd have that feeling of fear, So how did you feel, having done these diets and then the weight coming back on? How were you feeling at that time?
It was just discouraging. It was just like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And you feel bad about yourself. Like, you didn't do the right things. You can't stick to it. I don't have any willpower. What's wrong with me? So it just puts you in that, that bad mindset.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, why bother? Now I'm just going to eat whatever I want, do whatever, who cares? My husband loves me. It doesn't matter. I don't. So it was always that. And then, but it compounded with just my health that, I can't just keep ignoring this. I have to do something.
And so you first came across Homemade Method, and what made you think this is something you want to do?
Well, first I was intrigued, just like Georgie, about the cooking, because I love to cook, and I'm always looking at cookbooks, new recipes and everything. And then, so that part of it really intrigued me. And then just, you were just extremely motivating. And then just really listening, focusing on the health, and then joining that group, the Facebook group, and just seeing the support there. And so I just decided, hey, I'll just give it a try. And it was just wonderful from day one.
Yay.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Tell us what you did. What was different?
I followed the program. The smoothies, I started out with the smoothies. And at first I was like a little bit frustrated, because I was like, oh, I want to open all the modules and I want to do absolutely everything at once. So when I couldn't do that, I know you can if you email, but if I didn't want to, I wanted to follow the program. So when I couldn't do that, I went back on that Facebook group, and I was on there every day, and I still am on there every day. I check, and the past events. And I watched so many past events.
Wow.
Recorded ones, like especially there was one that Maddie did about liver enzymes, and just like trying to, learn, and that just got me hooked, and watching all those past events that were on Facebook.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so the smoothies, now I have a smoothie probably most of the days for breakfast. And I feel like I drink that. It's my little, power pack of nutrition and health,
That's how I feel too. I love it.
Yeah. And then I slowly, gradually, like just my palate changed, and I didn't crave sugar. And I was always somebody who wanted crackers and potato chips and salty things. And so my palate started changing when I started incorporating all those whole grains. And then I started eating more vegetarian. I was really, because my triglycerides were so high, and I was reading, about the fat and the meat and the liver. So I really stuck to some of the more vegetarian recipes, like the eggplant towers are awesome. Love those. And so I started eating more vegetarian meals. And then also something you said was that I had read was to try to move every single day. So I try to do something as many times as my body will let me during the week. And even sometimes that's just doing my physical therapy exercises, if that's all I can do that day. So.
And did you ever feel hungry or deprived eating the food? Did you have to count points or calories or anything?
No. And that was wonderful. Actually, I felt the opposite. Like I always used to snack. I would eat a breakfast, and then 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. Or I got to eat between lunch and between dinner always. And I found I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime, and I really should be hungry, and I probably should soon. So I found the exact opposite.
And then hopefully there's my voice in your head saying, Anna says to keep nourishing my body, I'll eat something nourishing. So some of the ladies I'm seeing in the chat are saying, oh, the smoothies don't fill me up for breakfast or a meal. That's what's different about Homemade Method. If it doesn't fill you up for breakfast, eat something else. There's no limit on how much you're allowed to eat. Yeah. If the smoothie doesn't fill you up, have a piece of avocado toast with it. Have some egg with it. Have something else until you are satisfied. That's the point of this approach. You don't need to stick to one small amount of food if you're not full and satisfied.
Have a hard-boiled egg with it or something.
And then you'll find there's a point where you go, I'm gracefully satisfied. It's not too much, it's not too little, and you're energized. Your food becomes your fuel, and it becomes your medicine. So I love that. Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about your results?
So I got my blood work results actually a few weeks ago, and I'm happy to say that all of my blood work was completely normal. Yes, my triglycerides, my
Woo!
blood pressure, yes, all normal except for, and my liver enzymes had come down significantly. So that was
Wow.
wonderful. And I am no longer have to take my water pill for my blood pressure. So I'm now only taking 2 blood pressure pills. So
Fantastic. Incredible. You must be
yes,
so proud of yourself
I
that you were
am. I'm very
able to
proud
do
and
that.
I'm just
You were
so
able
thankful.
you were able to rewrite your future. You know, you've had a family history of heart disease and heart attacks, you know, your mother, your father, and you were already on medication since 40 and now at 51, you 50 or 50, 51, right?
One, yeah.
You want to add the extra one. You've been able to bring them all back to normal levels. That's so incredibly empowering, and do it without dieting, without being deprived, without going hungry. So, and what about your weight? Any changes there?
Yes, I lost 14 pounds.
Woohoo! You look beautiful. You look glowing. Awesome. And then I read this story you shared that was stuck with me from our group, where you talked about a story where you ate out with your husband, I think for your birthday, and you noticed something different about how you felt about the food when you were eating out.
Oh, yeah. I just remember that we went out and we don't go out to eat very often at all. And I remember I got my meal and it was like a fancy restaurant. And I took a couple bites of it and I'm like, this doesn't really taste good. And it wasn't the restaurant. We've eaten there so many times before, but it was so salty and so oily that I was like, this just doesn't taste good anymore, because your palate changes, you know, and you just notice you don't need all that stuff anymore. And your body's like, it's like a red flag now. You put it in your mouth and it's like, what are you doing? You know, that doesn't taste good anymore. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, those are two of the great golden nuggets that Jennifer shared today. One of it was that a lot of ladies who come to us, they think they're already eating healthy when they join, and they say, I cook at home, I don't eat out much, you know, I eat pretty healthy, I don't know how this could help me or whatever. And then subtly, once you start doing the program and making those nutrition power packs for your body, it's not that we're taking the things away, because nothing is off limits. You just start adding more nutrition to your body and activating your reset response. So you feel hungry, you don't feel hungry all the time, and you feel more satisfied, and you start to heal your body. And then the second golden nugget you shared is that then your palate changes. So the foods that you actually used to crave and snack on and eat and enjoy that aren't so healthy, they just don't taste so good for you. It's so satisfying anymore. They don't taste very nice. And I've had this, and it's mind blowing when you go back to some of the foods that used to be your staple comfort foods, and you eat them, you go, it just doesn't taste that good anymore. I can't believe I didn't notice this before. So that's amazing. And then I also loved your share about, Diana's asking how long, Jennifer, it took to notice your palate change.
I'm going to say I probably started noticing that after the first month.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Diane also asked, how long have you been following the homemade method?
I've been a Success member now for this is my 4th month, so 8 months. Yeah.
Amazing.
And I would just say that I dropped like a pant size before I really dropped much weight. And I felt better, like within a few months, I really felt better. So weight does not equate to health.
Exactly. I loved as well your share about the holidays, when you were there and you noticed something different about, you know, how it's not just about the food anymore. Could you share a little bit about that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
How the holidays aren't just about the food anymore.
Oh, yes. That's what it, you know, I wanted to find kind of a different way. You know, food is always the biggest thing at the holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatever. And part of this is like your mindset. And I'm thinking, whenever I get together with friends or get together with family, it's always like, do you want to go out to dinner? Do you want to do this? And it always involves eating. So I'm like, I really want to change my mindset that, you know, the holidays are about the family and it's about the experiences, and, you know, it's not all about the food. So I don't have to lay out 10,000 appetizers and all these huge side dishes, and, you know, and just learning how to go out with friends that doesn't focus on going to a restaurant. You know, so my girlfriends and I will go to like a garden center or go to the movies, or just do something that doesn't always revolve around food.
I love it. So good. So many great mindset tips there. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. And how do you feel now?
I feel wonderful now. I feel hopeful and I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah. Great thing to achieve in 8 months. Amazing.